All right. You are now rocking with the best, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another exciting, exhilarating episode of the new Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, of course, KD Drummond. I am here with the rest of the four horsemen. We're going to go around the table and introduce yourselves again. Say what's up to the people, Pat.
Welcome back to the latest of the greatest. Four horsemen in the building. This is your boy, Patrick No C Walker, a.k.a. the Kayfabe, and you are now tuned in to new Wrestling. Welcome back to episode 2, where we're about to get this popping.
And, of course, we have our man, the Josh Rodriguez. Say what's up to the people, Josh.
Josh Rodriguez, Film School University, and it sounds like it is indeed Joshy time. Let's go.
Can't even help himself, bro.
He can't help himself. I'm going to go out on a limb and say who Josh's favorite wrestler is right now. But we'll talk about that later. Last but certainly not least is the co-anchor of the program, the one and the only Mr. William Skywalker Steele. Say what's up to the people.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. God damn. What's going on, y'all? Ready, baby? Let's do this.
I was like, you gonna say the word? You gonna say it?
Right.
Don't go full Booker T. Never go full Booker T.
Never go full Booker T. No.
All right, so we are back with episode 2. We have a lot to talk about because it's been a pretty exciting week for us. As a whole with the new Wrestling Podcast, we have a very successful launch, and we want to thank all of our viewers, all of our listeners for everything that you've done to help us get to this point. And we promise you we have more in store, just like how the WWE does, because everything is in fuego. We are on the heels of a very scintillating WWE Monday Night Raw, where we saw a ton of things happening. But my biggest complaint from the evening is something that I've kind of been bubbling in my head for the last several weeks is, why in the hell is Monday Night Raw 3 hours long? Like, I put a short together on this, but I'm going to need you guys to chime in and weigh in on what you think about this. Is there any possible reason for a non-PLE to take 3 hours out of your life on a weekly basis? Is there any reason?
Not other than revenue. I mean, they want the money, right? So because if you DVR WWE RAW and then you go back and watch it, fast forward through all the commercials, it's roughly about an hour and 45 minutes of action.
Yes.
The rest of it is they want you to buy Pop-Tarts and, toys for your kids. And, if I see one more Pizza Hut commercial, I'm going to, kill myself. But it's just revenue, man. It's just they squeeze all the commercials in. That's all.
I think about the 3 hour time limit in terms of like the Vince McMahon, of course, era and the PG era. And I think it started right around twice in a lifetime, with Rock and Cena. And it was rough because there were times where you could tell that the writers are trying to figure out which characters they need to feature. And then you had like the Big Show in a lot of segments. You had Lord Tensai, you had the Funkasaurus.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like you just had all of these mid-card characters taking up all of the time. But then it kind of led eventually to like very creative writing. And like sometimes they had to pair up characters and wrestlers that like necessarily didn't make sense. So you had a segment with Daniel Bryan and Kane that ended up becoming a thing, and you don't have that chemistry, I don't think, without a 3 hour time limit when they're trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do with 3 hours of TV time. An hour of it feels like commercials, of course. I think if it's used for mid-tier talents, that's great. More Dragunov, more Sheamus, more bangers, and less of the Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark versus Katana Chance and Caden Carter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just less of that, more of this.
Who was it? And forgive me for our viewers. Know that I'm the new guy to wrestling, so a lot of times I'll forget a wrestler's name or something. But there was a women's wrestler whose mic work was actually longer yesterday than her actual match. Like, what was the entire point of
Zelina?
Was it Zelina? And Zelina, it seems like, is it me or are they wasting Zelina? I'm going to sidebar here, but like she seems to have it, but she's not, getting the top.
I'm not going to attack
line of credit.
Past girl. Go ahead.
No, it's one of those things where, at least it's one of those things where And I tweeted about this last night. And also, hey, by the way, if you're not following ANW Wrestling on all the
you're missing
platforms,
out.
especially for the live tweets during each match and PLEs and things like that, then what the hell are you even doing? So go make that happen. And thank you in advance for making that happen. But when it comes to Zelina Vega, she has the in-ring talent. She's one of the best mic workers in the industry. You saw how she just cut that trio in half. I couldn't hear you over your forehead.
The forehead joke?
Holy Moses.
Even Caleb was like, I can't believe she said that.
Yeah,
like,
she smoked them. Crazy. But that's not the first time that she smoked. And she goes toe-to-toe with Liv Morgan as well. Plus, on social media, she goes toe-to-toe. Because she's Boricua, right? She's Puerto Rican from New York. So she has that in her. She's ready to go. And she has the in-ring ability as well. My problem with how they're using her is it's more so... I don't want to say quite yet that they're using her as a jobber. I would say...
a worker.
Yeah, she's a worker. Let me put it that way. Because Katana Chance and Kaylin Carter, those are jobbers right now. Like they have them, they're not winning any matches in WWE RAW. Their whole purpose is to just simply make whoever they're going against look a little bit better, like they did last night, even though there were, botches in that match with Zoe and Shayna, which that's kind of becoming a thing with Zoe. It's kind of, I don't know what's going on with that. So I don't want to get off on that sidebar. But Zelina, hopefully they get her back, because at one point, prior to them using her to kind of pander to the island of Puerto Rico for that PLE, which is, that's what the WWE does, right? So whether it be Drew McIntyre and Isla Dawn and Alba Fire and Piper Niven in Scotland, or what's my guy's name who got released? You know what I'm talking about?
Ricochet.
Say his name again.
Ricochet, is that your?
No, but not Ricochet. My Indian guy.
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal, right? So obviously they use certain people to pander to certain things, but I think Zelina deserves much better than that. Bottom line. So they got to start getting her not only in some meaningful matches, because I liked the feud that started to bubble up with her and Liv Morgan, but they kind of just used it to, further the feud versus using it to actually make her a worthy contender for the title.
Right, my bad. I put us on a different track than we were talking about. So obviously Pat is very enthusiastic about Zelina and her chances with the WWE. So we're gonna put a pin on that, and that's definitely going to be a conversation that we want to have in the future. But getting back to the whole Monday Night Raw thing, it's to me it's very difficult as an East Coaster, right? Because y'all are in Texas, I'm in the DC area. So that runs until 11 o'clock at night for me. So even when you're doing the DVR magic, right? Because that's what I do. I wait until 8:30 to start watching so I can fast forward through a bunch of commercials and, eventually catch up by the time the show is over. I'm still not ending until 11 o'clock. So my question is, what do you guys think is going to happen once we move over, once Raw moves over to Netflix in January, where it's already a paid subscription, so the advertising money doesn't have to be the same way. Obviously, USA Network doesn't have the viewership, necessary. And I think that's part of the reason it's on USA, right? People don't tune into USA unless they're watching WWE for the most part. So they're trying to milk it for all that it's worth. But when it moves over to Netflix, are we then going to see maybe a shrinkage of the amount of time that the show takes?
It feels like they're ignoring that question. Triple H has kind of been put in the crosshairs a little bit about that. And I don't recall him, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't recall him ever mentioning cutting it short from 3 hours to 2. And in reality, I feel like you have to at least cut it short to something, maybe 2.5 on Netflix first, see how it goes. Because, Pat mentioned he said like an hour and 45 minutes of real action. It's less than that when you look at wrestling, actual wrestling. And there's some smarks who get upset about that. Oh, certain program wrestled for 45 minutes. This program only wrestled for 30 minutes. So it all depends what you're looking for when you're tuning into these programs. For me, WWE does a fantastic job, especially now in storytelling, right? And that's what Triple H talked about when he went on Pat McAfee and he goes on these tours. He says, we're really trying to, get the emotions of people invested into each and every. And that's why I think Raw yesterday was amazing, because it advanced everything. Every single storyline had something to it behind the scenes that then translated out in the ring. And then that match you talked about, KD, was really what they call a cooler match. So if you know PLEs, there's some cooler matches sometimes, depending on the match card. But in Raw, they have cooler matches where it's like, yeah, we got the crowd hype with Damian Priest and Braun, but now we're going to kind of cool it off a little bit so that they can get hype again for the next match. Okay. I don't know that you can have cooler matches without commercials on Netflix. Like, I feel like you're going to have banger after banger after banger without commercials. Seriously, because like you say, I don't know that I want to sit through a jobber match, unless it's Braun Breaker.
What I'm curious about is, doesn't Netflix, because it has tiers now, if you don't have the highest tier, don't you have commercials anyway?
Oh, no. God, don't do that to me.
No,
he's right. They do have different tiers on Netflix now, where if you're only paying like $7.99 a month, you have commercials built in.
What?
But how do you make a live production? But how do you do that for a live production where you're also broadcasting it to people that are paying, like me, $22.43
so this is like
to make sure that you don't have the commercials?
Well, I'm sure they have that worked out in advance. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the agreement. The question is, like you're posing, KD, what does that look like from the consumer standpoint? And that's what I'm curious to see, because, and like you said, Steele, I haven't heard any type of comment from Triple H or any representative of WWE that even intimated slightly that they're looking to reduce the runtime down from 3 hours. I think they feel like they have, a nice iron grip on keeping us in tune for the entire 3 hours, that they feel like that they don't have to cut it down. But again, how does that look on Netflix, right? Because you have subscription tiers, and not everybody is on the subscription tier that is subjected to commercials, which is why they pay the extra to not be subjected to commercials.
So that brings up something. Sorry to cut you off, Josh, because I know that we haven't had you chime in yet, and I'm going to give you your shot in one quick second. Something that I brought up was that we occasionally see it. We see it on AEW, or at least I see it on AEW more than I see it on WWE, where they have the picture-in-picture during the commercial breaks. And so what that allows you to do is you can still see the match going on while the commercial is playing. And maybe with the tiers, maybe if you're on an elevated tier, you get to see some other level of action, even if it's not the match continuing, which they need to do away with that. You should never cut away from a match to show a commercial. That should be outlawed in all of wrestling. I don't care how bad the action in the ring is, but maybe there's something going on for the people on those higher tiers of Netflix while the lower tiers are getting the commercial break.
Real quickly, to be fair, KD, they do picture-in-picture commercials on WWE as well.
Okay.
Not every time. There's spots in the matches.
Right. They did it like with Twisters, the movie Twisters yesterday. I remember seeing that one, but it's not enough for me. Like,
you'll notice
they also had standalone spots for Twisters.
Yeah.
That was not picture-in-picture action. So
if you go
you're both right.
If you go to a live event, you'll notice sometimes you go back home and watch this. There's a spot that obviously, and again, we're pulling the curtains back here, kayfabe, right? There's spots they rehearse where, okay, this is where we're going to cut to a full commercial, right? Where a guy rolls out the ring and you got maybe Braun Strowman doing Braun, right? And the camera zooms in and goes to a commercial. And then during the live portion of it, all he's doing is talking trash for 3 minutes. Right. Okay. And maybe picking them up and smacking them or whatever. And then they know when to come back in because they see the time frame right there. Boom.
Mark.
So there's a mark. Right. So all this stuff is orchestrated. But I agree. And in the old school ways, they did it, too. If you guys remember the picture-in-picture, I remember it vividly on USA back in the day. I think they should do that all the time. But again, money. They probably have, sponsorships that say no.
Different commercial packages depending on whether you're getting the full screen or the picture-in-picture. They charge different rates. Absolutely.
I don't have a problem necessarily with the commercials between matches necessarily. I kind of wish they were shorter, but I think another thing that you're kind of running into with 3 hour time frame is that they're using a lot of it for storytelling. I think you had like a total of 5 or 6 total Judgment Day segments last night, which led to the Intercontinental Championship match being about 15 minutes for Dragunov versus Sami Zayn. That's your main event on Monday Night Raw. Like, that needs to be a 20-minute banger at least. So you're cutting away, 4 to 5 minutes of commercials for that match. I think that would have sufficed, but I as long as you're not taking away from the good wrestling. Like I said, there was a whole match you could have cut out, in my opinion. But
no, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's focus on those bangers, man. I think
two
that's
that you
the biggest thing
there
for
were
me.
two that you could have cut out, actually. But
The crazy thing is the roster is deep enough to where you could make the 3 hours of work, no problem. It's just a matter of where do they want to focus their attention at the most. And we're seeing it right now. Judgment Day is running everything. They literally are running Monday Night Raw.
100%.
So, or you can rework the timeline or the time limit on certain matches. So instead of basically keeping Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov, which could have been a banger, even with Braun, scheduled to interfere, you could have let that run a little bit longer, 20, 25 minutes. And then maybe you go back and you look at one of the previous matches, say Sheamus and Bronson Reed. Maybe that match is cut short after about 9 or 10 minutes, because if you want to forward or create the storyline and turn Pete Dunne into a villain, have him break up that match at the 10-minute mark, and you still get that point across instead of letting that go a little bit longer. So, I mean, there's ways to kind of work it inside of the machinations.
I'm going to take the opportunity to pull an audible because on our rundown, because you guys brought up a great point about the fact that Judgment Day was so front and center, and we all, we kind of stirred up a little bit of controversy among
Josh
some
wants
fans.
all the Damian Priest, and he
wants all the smoke.
And he got it yesterday.
He got all the smoke yesterday for that Damian Priest take. So I apologize for putting you on the spot like that, Josh. But the conversation today is wholly different, because it's like Damian Priest heard all the conversation.
He watched,
and he put in the absolute best performance that I've seen in my couple months of watching wrestling. I've never seen him be that good. I've never watched a Damian Priest segment and I wasn't like, oh, come on, dude, until yesterday. And he had like 3 or 4 great short snippet segments leading up to the conversation he had with Gunther, when he absolutely owned the microphone. I was like, who is this Damian Priest? This is the reason why they made him a champion before I got here and on board the train. So let's rotate from that, talking to a little bit of preview of what we're going to see on SummerSlam. We have, I believe, right now 6 matches that we are assured to get. Leading off, of course, is Gunther cashing in. That's wrong term, different promotion, but using his King of the Ring victory to get the automatic match with Damian Priest for the championship. So let's go through that and let's just kind of talk about the matches that we have in store, starting with that one.
Well, really quick, I want to give Damian Priest his flowers. I think he actually did do really great promos yesterday, and I think a big part of that is he was being himself in a big way. Like he wasn't the heel character, orale, like Damian Priest. Like he was being funny, and he had funny segments with Dom, and it's like you got to see like his actual personality come through, which is what it's all about. Like when you're creating a character, you want to be 110% yourself, and I think you could see that in his promos last night. And especially, like, I think even Pat said this, like the face turn is here. He is a face now. Like he's getting cheers, and he's sort of the underdog in his own title match against Gunther, which is great. I want to see how this goes. I do want to see him drop that belt, because that will only further his story with being a baby face and getting the fans in his corner if he drops that belt to the hated Gunther. I want to see where it goes.
I feel like, number one, I said it last night, hands down, it was the best mic work that I've seen from Damian Priest. And I've been watching him a hell of a lot longer than 2 months. So trust me, KD, you're still accurate. It still was the best mic work he's done. So a couple things are true. I think he understands that his Money in the Bank match was a black eye on what he's trying to do on his reign. And I think he understood that.
He knew that too.
He knew it. Stepping into this episode of Monday Night Raw, into the ring to cut a promo with Gunther, of all people, you better have your mic skills on A1. That's one. And then to have a match. And granted, it wasn't necessarily a main event worthy match against Braun Strowman, but he was able to win that one. He looked good with his in-ring action. He looked good with his technique. There were no botches, and he won clean, which was paramount, because he won clean in a match where he was very technically sound and impressive. Now, go backstage, his segments backstage. I found myself, like Josh, laughing with Damian Priest because his petty was on full display. Like when Dom followed Rhea to the dressing room, and then she closed the door on him. Camera pans over, and there's Priest standing there like, It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I think he's starting to figure out, and this is why I think Damian Priest is going to be a better face or baby face than he would be a heel, because you're starting to see that that's what Damian was, or is, I should say. The problem with his heel run is that he never found the him inside of that heel. Right, he was always trying to put the mask of the heel on, and he never really flipped the switch and found what part of that heel was actually him, so he could bring that dark side out. So down the road, whenever he inevitably flips back to heel, we'll see if he takes some lessons learned from this one. But in real time, we saw against a microphone ace like Gunther, he absolutely shined. He shined backstage in the segments. He helped elevate segments that had Rhea Ripley in it after 3 months of us not having Rhea Ripley in segments. Like he stole a couple of the segments away from her. So that just shows you just how great he was. And he just needs to continue to do that week in, week out, PLE out. And as far as his match against Gunther, yes, wildly an underdog against Gunther. And I also believe that he's going to drop the belt. Wouldn't mind seeing him drop the belt, because I wouldn't mind seeing Gunther or what he's going to do, what Gunther's going to do with this belt as he did with the IC title. But that being said, I'm going to disagree with Josh on one aspect and one aspect only. I think if Priest wins this belt, I think that actually solidifies him as the babyface, because what it's going to do is send Gunther into a rampage. And by sending Gunther into a rampage, especially when Ludwig comes back from injury, I think that's how you kind of anchor Damian Priest as the babyface. And then, of course, that sets up a rematch for one of the upcoming PLEs, maybe even Survivor Series, if not before.
Yeah, I think they did a fantastic job telling that heel face story yesterday. And shouts out to Gunther. You know, Gunther really, in my opinion, is the one who set that off, you know, calling him street trash.
Oh, yeah.
And, he went full racist.
I guess a little racism don't hurt anybody, I guess.
No, it's perfect for a heel, though.
Right.
He went for it.
And it's perfect for a heel coming from the country he's coming from. I'm like, okay, you're going to lean into that. Okay, all right, we've been there before. All right.
And I think that's why he got the best Priest, because I think he was legitimately pissed. You know, not real life pissed, but like, you talking about, you know what I mean? And he took that and he ran with it. I think
and low-key pissed Gunther off as well with that last line.
Good.
That boring.
We need some real heat here.
That boring, privileged scumbag. Yeah, I really thought they were about to go real. But the way he used
that was dope, though. How he said, well, my family, you know, don't be mad because they took care of me and yours is street. Yeah. Like, that was great. But I think Priest was a great heel when he was not a champion, because he was able to be the archer of infamy, right? He was able to be, we're just here to tear up Monday Night Raw and give me your tag team time. But when he became a champion, there's a champion's mentality. I think you have to, aura per se, you have to have. And I think he tried too hard to have a champion's aura about him. And up until last night, because we all agreed, up until last night, he didn't feel championship to me. Last night, he felt like, oh, all right, you want this? You're going to have to come and take it from me in a championship type of way. It wasn't forced. It wasn't what did you say, Josh? Hey man, hold on. Like it wasn't like that.
Will, are you saying you didn't rise for El Campeon? Is that what you're saying? You're saying you didn't rise?
Yeah, I didn't know. I wasn't rising. Pause. Yeah, that's a real pause, man.
That's a proper pause. A proper pause.
Proper pause. But no, all jokes aside, I think he just didn't carry himself as in my opinion, natural champion, and now maybe Gunther is going to help him do that, because he's a real heel. Shouts out to Drew. Drew McIntyre is more of a anti-hero heel, and Seth wasn't a heel. So this is a real heel against Gunther. I'm sorry, against Priest, and this is perfect for him.
So you guys mentioned, or at least you mentioned how Damian was able to even overshadow Rhea Ripley in some of her mic work. And for me, remember, again, 2 months in, 3 months in, I've never seen Rhea Ripley. I've just known that she was who Liv Morgan was trying to take the man from. So this was my first experience hearing her on the mic. She's phenomenal.
Oh, she delivers.
She is absolutely great. She's absolutely great. So I'm really interested in seeing, because the whole time I've been like, man, Liv Morgan, she definitely has it when it comes to being on the mic. And I love these games that she's playing, and she's leaned all the way into this character. I am really, really anticipating seeing what happens when her and Rhea actually get to SummerSlam. That's another match that we now know is going to be on the docket for SummerSlam. So y'all want to talk about that one a little bit?
Listen, Rhea, for those that are coming back to the world of wrestling and aren't really privy to Rhea because she's been out for the past 3 months, and those of us that have followed her career, we can tell you right now, she is a bona fide megastar. No knock to LA Knight. There is nothing Rhea Ripley can't do. And that is why, try as she might to get over as a heel, she's never been a heel. And I keep saying this to people, and people are like, oh, well, it's because she's a heel. Maybe she'll go face. She's never really been a heel. She's just been the bad girl who's a face, right? Because everybody loves her. Like, you can't not love Rhea Ripley and all of her badassedness. I am one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fans of Charlotte Flair ever. I miss my queen, Ashley. Get well soon. As far as finish your recovery with your torn ACL, come back to the ring, because I need Charlotte versus Jade, and I need Charlotte versus Rhea, but that's a sidebar. But Rhea is phenomenal on the mic. She's phenomenal in the ring. She has all the aura, not just a little bit of aura, all the aura. She is the Judgment Day. That's why when she left, they had to insert the Liv Morgan storyline to help carry the Judgment Day, because to Josh's point, Damian wasn't able to go into that added air, that added stratosphere of being an actual champion and carrying the way Rhea has when she was the women's champion. So Rhea is a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. And this bout against Liv really is more of a test of where Liv Morgan is in the ring than it is of Rhea, because Rhea has passed all the tests. That's not what this is about anymore. Liv, when she came back from her injury that was caused by Rhea, she came back on her revenge tour. The question was always, can Liv take the next step with her in-ring ability? Can she take the next step with her storylines? Can she take the next step with her mic work? She's done that in spades with the storyline. She's done that in spades with the mic work. She's done that in spades with continuing the kayfabe on social media and just in real life to make it a more robust story, whereas the lines are blurred and you don't really know if is Dom really in her hotel? Like, I don't know, probably, who knows? But the fact that we have to ask these questions tells you that she's playing it masterfully. But the only question left for Liv Morgan now is she ready to face the brutality tour version of Rhea? Because in order to do that and retain the belt, she's going to have to wrestle like she's never wrestled before.
I just want the added layer of custody of Dominic Mysterio in the SummerSlam match. Just give me that.
Okay, do you remember that? Do you know of that one?
No, I didn't. I know about it now, but I know about it now, but I didn't know about it then. And last night I saw when everything was happening, I put it in the Twitter reactions over on Sporting News, shameless plug, was that somebody said that the whole Black Rose thing was an Eddie Guerrero reference. Yep. So I'm loving how they're doing all these throwbacks and stuff I wasn't even aware of in the first place.
Yeah, and you have Liv doing the Eddie Guerrero dance, like
and the Three Amigos in the ring.
Like, if they added the custody of Dominic Mysterio on top of their championship match, I'll be happy.
It's kind of wild because the whole Dom thing has overshadowed the belt. Like they literally could remove this belt and it would not matter. Right. So, but I think this is Liv's the best work that she's ever done. I do wonder though, when this is over, where she goes from here, because we're on opposite sides, Pat. Before this, I called her Mid Morgan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was not not the biggest Liv fan when it came to the character work, but this character work is amazing. So I do wonder where she goes after this, because you're going to put the belt back on Rhea, right? But do they have to do it at SummerSlam?
No, and that's
another thing
we'll talk about we'll talk about predictions down the road.
I just wanted to dangle that out there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that down the road. That's
all I'm saying.
But I will say, Mid Morgan, bro, you got to pull up on that. What we ain't gonna do is talk crazy about my Jersey girl. That's my Jersey girl. Hey, bye. All
right, so let's turn our attention to the other women's championship match that's going to happen on SummerSlam. Again, this is going to be a King/Queen of the Ring cash in. Nia Jax is going to go up against Bayley. Talk to me, because I haven't really seen Bayley in action all that much recently. I've seen her in like 1 or 2 matches since I've been watching wrestling.
Man.
Needs to go
talk to me about what's going on here.
They need to turn her heel again. I did.
Bayley's one of the best in-ring workers there is in the women's division. And period. Like she works.
Okay.
Nia Jax is
Nia Jax. Yep. Sorry.
She's on. She's been better. Historically, she's been on the lower end of.
Yeah, but you did struggle to get that out though.
In-ring presence. No,
you struggled to get that compliment out.
Yeah. She's been on the lower end of the in-ring ability, but however, I think since Patrick, you'll have to remind me which pay-per-view it was, where it was her and Rhea Ripley.
Elimination Chamber.
Nia Jax absolutely stepped it the fuck up at Elimination Chamber and has been doing great in ring work since. I think she heard all the criticism towards her and has been doing a phenomenal job since then, getting people over and looking great in the ring, winning Queen of the Ring, which was huge for her, obviously. But now I think they have to add this element of Tiffany Stratton to kind of make this match more interesting, I think, because I don't know if that Nia Jax alone versus Bayley is sufficient enough for the fans and people like wanting to see that match. I think you add Tiffany Stratton into the mix, whether or not it's clear that she cashes in that night or not. It's just the fact that it's in the air is going to make that match worth seeing.
I agree. I think that, you know, when you talk about Nia Jax, you have to give her roses. There's still people who are really tearing her to shreds, and I disagree with that in the capacity of I don't think this version of Nia Jax is the previous version of Nia Jax. I think this is her best work as a WWE superstar. Now, could it be better? Yes, both of those things are true. But when you look at her crescendo downward after Elimination Chamber, because ramping up to that, she was basically wrecking shop in the women's division. Everybody was getting squashed, including Rhea Ripley. But after Elimination Chamber, it's kind of been like, okay, where are we going with this? Other than her showing up, interrupting other people's promos to talk her shit, et cetera, et cetera. Bayley is a Hall of Famer in the making. Bayley is one of the best in-ring workers you've ever seen in your life.
BBL Bayley.
Yeah, no, that's 100%
that was
authentic.
Hilarious.
That was a hell of a line.
She's Puerto Rican, bro.
Yeah, that was a hell of a line. I will give her that because she tried it, and it was funny in real time. But I will say, every single person on Earth, go and check the tweets because it went viral. Everybody on the planet Earth that watches wrestling was saying to Nia, "Nah, that's real. That's real. That's that Hispanic blood. She's bubbled up back there for real." But
you guys know.
Yeah, that's facts. That's fact. Oh, I know. But shouts out to my Latinas. But
I was talking about myself, but okay. Boys bricked up back here.
Josh ain't skipping leg day.
Yeah, you've not seen this cake.
Josh ain't skipping leg day at all. Josh, Squat Master 2000. So Bayley, her mic work is phenomenal as well. I say all of that to say this: for as complimentary as I can be, and I can be endlessly complimentary of Bayley, whether it be Hugger Bayley, which she says she's no longer because she wants to get that edge going into the match against Nia Jax, which is fine. This Bayley, with this reign of the Women's World Championship, has been, you talk about mid. It has been absolutely mid. It is completely forgettable, and I feel like that's disrespectful to someone like Bayley. I feel like she should have had storylines prepackaged, ready to go once she took that belt off of Io Sky. But since she took the belt off Io Sky, it's kind of been like, she's just kind of there. She's completely being overshadowed by every other belt. There's more buzz about the Women's North American Championship in NXT than there is the WWE Women's World Championship that Bayley holds. And it cannot be that way. So putting Tiffany Stratton into this just spices things up to a monumental degree. We're all bought in now because now we've seen Tiffany try to cash in not once, but twice on Bayley.
Not try to cash in. Thought about cashing in, right?
She tried. No, she
tried it in Mexico.
She tried it in Mexico. She tried it in Mexico. She thought about it on last week's SmackDown. Nia Jax stepped in front. But in Mexico on the Super Show Summer Tour, she actually ran to the ring right after Bayley had defended her title successfully. She ran to the ring. She was giving the briefcase to the referee. Obviously, the official is in on it, so he was stalling. It was a whole lot of yes. They never rang the bell. Bayley attacked her from the back and then ended up getting knocked out. And she went to give the briefcase back to the official. In came Bianca Belair to put hands on Tiffany Stratton to stop her. But that was an attempt. Like she was attempting to do it on a live show, a live international show. And shouts out to the WWE for even putting that in, because it adds spice to the international and the live shows as well, and the house shows. Because now if you go to a WWE house show, you never know what's going to happen. Right. So I say that to say Tiffany Stratton is really spicing this up, because now, and we'll keep predictions down the road, it just makes you wonder if, even though Nia Jax is playing big sister to her Barbie, right? If Barbie's going to turn around and stab her in the back in the Playhouse.
But Josh, you made a point about adding Tiffany Stratton to this to spice it up, and they had to do it, because I think the issue with Bayley is, and it's not her, because we've seen her do fantastic work as a heel, and maybe I went overboard saying she needs to go back to being a heel. Maybe she just needs to be the anti-hero. Instead of being she said she's not Hugger Bayley, but she comes out smiley and thumbs up and happy-go-lucky.
There's no edge to Bayley.
There's no edge to Bayley.
And there's definitely no edge to Bayley.
Now it's just all round parts. It's all round parts.
There's that too.
Yeah, it's all, yeah.
But if you look at the history,
focus.
If you look at the history of the women's championship division, well, that particular belt or belts, go find me all the happy-go-lucky faces that have these amazing runs. They don't. Becky Lynch has a good run because Becky Lynch is edgy. She's
the Stone Cold of the women's division.
Liv Morgan right now is edgy. Rhea Ripley is edgy. And you can say, well, what about Bianca Belair? Nah, Bianca Belair got attitude, baby. So she's edgy. So there isn't this happy-go-lucky
Charlotte
edgy. So the reason when you said, Pat, they can't figure things out, because there's nobody that they can really throw up with her that makes that interesting enough. And they're trying it with Nia Jax, but Nia right now kind of getting some love from the fans for how she kind of bounced back since she came back. So she doesn't, yes, she's a pissed off type of heel, but we've been there, done that with Nia, right? So all these wonderful talents in the women's division, I hope that if they don't take the belt off her to Tiffany Stratton, they someone else takes the belt off of her and pisses off Bayley, and she gets that edge back to go and try to chase the title. Because right now, this reign is not it. So Stratton, to me, has to do it, and we'll see if she can.
Stratton takes it, and then in the draft, Vaquera gets promoted, and then she takes it off Stratton.
Oh,
you're going way down the line.
Now?
I mean,
we're doing predictions now. We're doing down the line predictions,
man. I'm just saying,
because if we're doing predictions, tell me when Jada Parker's coming to the WWE. That's what I need to know.
Next draft. But see, the problem is man, I'd pay you $100 for you to name the top 2 women that deserve to go without feeling guilty from NXT, without feeling guilty about leaving 5 other women behind.
Oh, I don't have a guilt gene, so it's Sol Ruca and Jada Parker. I have no guilt gene, but that's just me personally.
Lola, Roxanne.
All right, so moving on back to the topic.
Man, they never called up Adam Cole, so I give a damn who they laid down there.
How do you not mention Roxanne Perez in that conversation? Come, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it. Right. Lola Vice, stop it.
I've been corrected.
That's my point.
Let the record show that on July 16th, 2024, KD Drummond was actually wrong for the first time. Let's take it back to SummerSlam for the first time.
Boy,
don't catch this fade. Don't catch this fade.
Listen. Don't drown in the Nile. Ain't no lifeguard on duty.
All right. So SummerSlam 2024, we have 3 other matches that we're pretty sure we are guaranteed to get. We're going to breeze through these really quickly because I don't want to lose our last segment. We have LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the US Championship. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre / Seth Rollins is going to be involved in some kind of way there, and of course Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. So talk to me about where we see this thing going with Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, and really the change, the civil war that seems to be brewing when it comes to the bloodline, because they're obviously hinting stronger each week that Roman Reigns' return is coming. It might not happen till SummerSlam. He might make an appearance before that, but we know it's coming. We know that Jimmy Uso is getting a little bit healthier. So talk to me about how you see the bloodline civil war breaking down with all of the things that we have in play right now.
I would love to see a face turn for Roman Reigns. I think it's like Thanos. I think it's inevitable. He's going to be welcomed with open arms.
Is that a Marvel reference?
That is a Marvel reference. The one good movie that they made. He's going to be rightly furious with Solo Sikoa when he gets back, and obviously he took over the bloodline. He's calling himself the tribal chief, and I would love to see Roman in a situation where now he has to fight the bloodline's mercenaries. He has to fight his way back to the top and get back at Solo for disrespecting him and the wise man, the entire family, basically. And Pat had brought this up at some point, but I don't know that the Usos would be exactly thrilled to assist Roman when it comes to fighting the bloodline. I think that obviously it's there. It's the low-hanging fruit, but to me, the one person that really has a lot of beef, well, two people, I guess, that have a lot of beef with the bloodline would be Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Also Kevin Owens at this point.
And Kevin Owens. So Kevin Owens is like the bloodline punching bag at this point, right? Totally. Am I wrong in seeing that? Like
entirely. But I think with Cody and Roman, there's now a sort of mutual respect, or at least there should be after WrestleMania. Okay. And you give Roman the chance to partner with Cody, that is numbers. That's numbers. Wow. People are going to be going insane for that. And let's say that happens. This is another prediction, I guess. Let's say that happens, Cody and Roman. Then it's too much for the bloodline. Who do they bring in? Dwayne, no, The Rock.
I got to stop you right there.
Johnson, man. Come on.
I got to stop you right there.
He's going off the rails. Stop him still.
I'm telling you, man.
This is a
you give me Survivor Series with The Rock and the bloodline versus Cody, Roman, Seth. Or not Seth, but Kevin Owens, Randy. I mean, I don't know, man. I could see it. I want to see
can't bring in the gringo into the family issues. You can't.
But they would though.
No, I'm just playing. They did because
they absolutely would.
They did it with Sami Zayn. But no, I think,
and it don't get more gringo than that.
I really want to go in on what you said because that's interesting. But I think we are heading for Jimmy and Jay, right? With Roman and
I think Jay's got his own thing going on. He's gonna have a Judgment Line.
He doesn't. He doesn't. But I'm gonna let Steele get his take off, and then I'm gonna weigh in because no, he does not have his own thing going on. What does he really got going
besides?
He doesn't have his own thing going on.
That's his thing, apparently.
No.
That's enough of a gimmick.
Right, it's enough of a gimmick for continuing to be over and to move your merchandise and things like that. But as far as storylines, he's completely devoid of storyline right now. This goes back to last week's episode of the ANW podcast. By the way, shameless plug, if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do that because it all flows into this episode, which flows into the next episode. It's quite literally like MCU Phase 5. So pause for Josh.
Nothing flowing there.
Yeah, pause for Josh to absorb that.
You all have fun with Captain America. Soldier. What the hell is it called?
Before you go in on the whole J thing, let me just get this off quickly. So
go ahead, get that off. I'm gonna have to hurt Josh over this Marvel stuff.
I definitely think that we're going to get the family Civil War thing going on, and I think we should. And the way I think it should play out is if you look at, in my opinion, if you look at Sikoa's henchmen, they are way more fear in those guys, or they give off more fear to me than Jimmy and Jay. So I would kind of play off that a little bit where Roman comes back and Solo's like, hey, all right, cool. Yeah, you might be better than me, but you're not better than us. My guys are better than your, and let's be real in real life. I think Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu are way more physical and aggressive than the Usos. Right. And then, somehow, some way the Usos hear this. Jimmy and Jay come back. Now we got the family affair going on. And eventually that comes back around to at some point later down the line, you get a rematch between Cody and Roman. But I think this has to happen first. And they're building it up. Right. I mean, you hear what Solo is saying to Jimmy or to Roman.
For me, it has to be this, and this is why I said I understand. Even though I had Jey Uso winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, I understand why he didn't. In hindsight, because he's going to be obviously wildly involved with the Civil War, and they want him focused on that. So that answers the question as far as for Josh. Well, Jey has something going on. He has nothing going on. This is what he's about to have going on. What I want to see. We already know Jey has Cody's back because when Jey defected from the Bloodline, it was Cody who gave him a chance, who helped convince Adam Pearce to bring him over to Monday Night Raw, and then the Yeet movement was born. So all of this has Cody Rhodes at the nucleus of it, as far as the Yeet movement and just how over main event Jey is right now. Jimmy Uso has been cleared as of a couple weeks or so, give or take, medically. He can show up at any point between last week actually and SummerSlam. I think it's time for Jimmy and Jey to mend the fences. And I think Jey convinces Jimmy to help him back Cody Rhodes, okay, against the Bloodline. That's 3-on-4. Who gets the 4th seat? You already know who gets the 4th seat. It's the real tribal chief, the one that we acknowledge. It's Roman Reigns. Now, excellent point, Will, when it comes to the fear and the physicality that exists in the current version of the Bloodline for everybody not named Solo Sikoa. Because fuck out of here. But here's how it matches up, though. As much as Tonga, and Tonga Loa would like you to believe that they're this super physical duo, it's really just Jacob that's super physical, right? The Tongans can be outmatched by the Usos easily. Like, that's not even a competition. Like, all they had, that's not going to save you from Jey and Jimmy. If their chemistry and their fences are mended and everything's back. Roman can handle Fatu and Cody can handle Sikoa. Well, technically Roman can handle Fatu or Sikoa or any one of the Tongans, and Cody can handle any one of them except for Fatu, apparently, right? But I think that's the 4-pack that I would sign up for. So if you tell me that by the time Survivor Series rolls around, it's Solo Sikoa, the Tongans, and Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and Roman Reigns in the main event, with the final boss lurking in the background as a possible surprise entrant, and you don't know which side he's going to fall on. Is he falling on Roman's side, or is he falling on Solo Sikoa's side? That Survivor Series would do WrestleMania numbers.
I have to see the build. I'm not a fan of Roman and Cody being on the same side right now.
You might as well get to being a fan of it because it's going to happen.
I gotta see the build.
Roman's going super babyface. He's going babyface.
Roman's gonna. There's no way that Roman isn't a babyface when he returns. The pop is gonna be insane.
That's fine.
He even hinted at it because after he lost to Cody, his first tweet was him on the treadmill. What did that caption say? It said day one. So to your point, Josh, they're building the storyline where now Roman has a historic reign, one of the best ever. He has to start from square zero. And they're already starting to build that up. So now when he comes back, he's going to have to fight and claw his way back. But it's going to have to be, it can't be with mid-card talent flanking him. It has to be with somebody like Cody Rhodes flanking him with a historic tag team who, by the way, happens to be, his family and the Usos. WrestleMania numbers for Survivor Series. I'm telling you.
He's going to, him coming back
happens. If you smell, and then we all just shit our pants.
And then what? They're all so here's the thing. Him coming back faces was a given for sure months ago. But that doesn't mean it has to be in the shadow of Cody. I feel like those two guys can do their own.
That's the point. Still, nobody's in their shadow. Cody is no longer in the shadow, bro. No, not. I disagree with you, my brother. Yeah, the Usos would be in their shadow.
Cody or Roman Reigns. Somebody, and this is the other thing that I love with Cody. If you go watch the documentary, reason why these two dudes we don't speak, what he said, because we both understand we're trying to be number one in a $1 billion company or what have you. I would love for Roman to have that same attitude. Look, bro, we not cool. I don't like you. I want my title, and this is family business. Yeah, I might be the anti-hero face, but let me do me with my family. Get up out of my, you know what I mean? Get out my business. This isn't your business.
Okay, but you know what? Hold on, Katie, because I got to say it real quick.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, to that point, there are times, well, not necessarily to that point, there are times where it doesn't matter how much you don't like this MFR over here. And where's Katie on my screen? Like right here? Okay. It doesn't matter how much you don't like this MFR right here. Sometimes you have to strike an alliance with one of your biggest enemies. And I'm just joking, folks. Katie is my brother. But sometimes you have to strike an alliance with one of your biggest enemies to get rid of an even bigger threat. And then you can look that person in the face. Like Roman could come back and he could look Cody right in the eyes and say, you know what? We're not cool. We're not good. I do want this smoke, but I'll get to giving you the smoke after you help me conquer these sons of bitches who are in both of our ways.
You guys are such big Marvel guys. You forget Captain America and Iron Man can coexist in the same movie.
They're not even.
What you just did? Hold on. What y'all just paid for me? Because again, me being the outsider, the newbie, I'm listening to all this. But what you just paved is the path to Cody turning heel. Like,
yes.
Oh no! That's the path to Cody turning heel.
Time for that.
That's what you just paid. Of course, we got time.
Homelander.
If they
bring me Homelander.
If they partner up and they dispatch the bloodline and get that going, then that leads the path to having a split between those two. Cody going heel, and that's the other turn that happens. You just mapped it out.
Okay, listen, Cody Rhodes, and I'm on record.
Told y'all don't want that right now.
And you know what? You know what that means? Right now. Right.
2026, 27 maybe.
No, I'm telling you, it's inevitable.
Cody heel for a long time.
Well, you can agree, and with timeline is something we can argue, but you can at least agree that it's inevitable that Cody Rhodes turns heel.
Years.
I just want hear what I'm saying. It's inevitable that Cody Rhodes eventually turns heel. Yes or no?
If he's down with it, he has to be down
because he's going to be down with it. Now, I will agree that it won't be anytime soon because of where he is in his arc right now. He has to, and he's just a fantastic ambassador for the sport, for wrestling as a whole, period. And he's at Hulk Hogan levels as far as, the 80s Hulk, the pre-WCW Hulk, and even a little bit after WCW, where it's the eat your vitamins, it's, shake hands, kiss baby. It's making sure you greet every single fan once you get off of your bus. Like, that's what Cody Rhodes is thriving in right now. But there will come a time, and we've all watched wrestling enough to know, there comes a time where the audience starts to turn on the face, and they start to get a little bit bored, and they kind of want to see that smoke. Now, is that 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I don't know. But I'm telling you, he's going to eventually go full Homelander.
Oh yeah. I mean, eventually he will turn heel, and it'll be great for business. But you have to, just like what's about to happen with Roman. Roman got pause shoved down our throats, right? Back in the day with Vince McMahon. I had to get it out there previously.
Proactive pause. That's
and he got what they call, if I'm not, let me make sure I use this right. That was go home heat. Like, people hated Roman to the point where they had no choice but to turn him heel. We're not going to see that with Cody Rhodes, right? So it'll have to be strategic, and it'll have to be a long time because he is at the top of this game, like you said. He's Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and boy, it's gonna take some time. Number one. Number two, if we're going to get the Cody Rhodes face Roman Reigns face situation, I think it's going to have to be Rock and Stone Cold when they both were anti-heroes. Right, exactly. It's going to have to be that, and that's going to take some building. Yeah, that can absolutely happen. But final thing here, it's kind of crazy how you need to get a superhero and Cody Rhodes to beat the Bloodline, the Temu Bloodline. I just think that's crazy, though.
Yeah, I mean,
you build up Jacob Fatu,
though. I was told, so I don't think you really need to get no Cody Rhodes.
You don't. But and this goes to something that I said on the one of the YouTube shorts after SmackDown last week, which was, so Kevin Owens is dealing with non-kayfabe, a real life situation with his sick mom, and shouts out to KO. Hope his mom is improving every single day. He's dealing with, helping his family back in Canada. So that deletes him from the kayfabe situation with helping Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Randy Orton gets beaten to a bloody pulp. Rhodes is forced to watch. Orton the Viper had to be helped backstage. If they try to work it as Orton is injured to put Cody Rhodes on an island, now in that situation, and we'll find out this as early as this Friday on SmackDown, in that situation, you really don't, to Will's point, you don't need another superhero or several superheroes to come in and beat the Temu Bloodline absent Jacob Fatu, because he's just a different type of animal. But it just sets up too perfectly to have 3 vacant seats to fill.
Yeah.
And you have the Usos, that's 2, and Roman being the 3rd. There's your 4-pack versus your 4-pack. So no, you shouldn't need them to beat a Bloodline that was ordered on Wish. I agree, but this is where the WWE
also
is taking it.
Also that last guy to Tongaloa. He ain't fight yet. He just been running around in suits. So I wonder if they're going to run a 3-on-3 as opposed to 4-on-4.
I wonder if
they don't want him in the ring yet, man. Yeah, he's botching everything.
It might be. I was wondering if he was dealing with an injury, but that's a good point, Josh. Maybe he's just not ring ready right now.
I mean,
no, he botched a low blow.
Botched mania since he came. Yeah.
Okay.
He botched a low blow.
All right. Well, then get him out of here. Like, what are we talking about?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been another action-packed episode here. Like we run out of time. Like if y'all saw our rundown and the things that we want to talk about,
we got 10. Listen, we got 10
everybody.
Minutes.
So no, we don't.
We don't.
It's time to wrap it up.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
But that just leads us into the next thing, and the next thing is always better than the last thing. So make sure that you're subscribing on YouTube, of course. And New Wrestling is the channel. Go search for that on the social media platforms. We have And New Wrestling on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, and then on Instagram. It's And New Wrestling Pod. Whatever your flavor is, we are on the Apple Podcast. We are on Spotify Podcast. Wherever you want to find us, we are there to meet you, and we appreciate everything that y'all have done. The rollout was magnificent last week. You guys are chiming in. You guys are replying. You guys are liking. We appreciate all of that. Keep doing it. Let us know what we need to cover. Our ears are open to what you guys want to discuss. So any way that you can reach out to us, please do that. We will make sure that we have you covered. Again, let's do the rundown of the 4 horsemen. I am your host, as always, KD Drummond. We have Patrick No C Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and of course Will Skywalker Steele. Gentlemen, thank you for another banging episode, banger after banger after banger. That's it for this week. We're out of here.
Yeah. And